Welcome guys, Matt here from Trade on Sports, and it's quarter-final Friday in the tennis, so I thought I'd just give you a brief rundown on the matches, have a look at a couple of in-depth stats, and just put my thoughts down on a video. Basically, here we are in the Ultimate Tennis Trader with the Trade on Tennis members. Click on pre-match, and here we go. Okay, we'll have a look at the men first. Thiem and Medvedev. First up, as I expected, Medvedev's getting the support. I think his flat hitting will be a problem for Thiem today. I wasn't overly impressed with Thiem yesterday against Cilic. I think Cilic handed in the match where he melted down in set two. He lost his temper, shouted at the umpire, eventually boiled over and folded like a cheap suit, as we know Cilic can. All Thiem could do was take what was handed to him, basically. He's going to find it a lot tougher today against Medvedev and his flat hitting. Let's have a look at some of the in-depth stats for the match. Let's have a look in set one, see if we can find any spots. Maybe Medvedev to break first, quite possibly. It's pretty tight on the numbers though. Thiem as well, maybe to lead late if the score's a level at 4-all. Back Thiem to break, but to be honest, Medvedev's serve's been pretty solid the last 10 days or so. Washington last week and now here this week in Canada. Can't find a lot else there on the numbers, really. Not really a way in there for me, I'm afraid, apart from what I mentioned in set one. Let's go back to the pre-match, look at the next match. Montreal, Khachanov and Zverev. Market makes it a coin flip. My model makes Zverev slight favourite. Once again, we'll go into the scripts. Let's have a look here. I like Zverev's ability to recover the break there. That could be worth a look. Zverev a breakdown in set one. He recovers it 52% of the time. Khachanov not the best serving for it. It's not too shabby, but 79%. He needs to be in the mid-80s like Zverev's, really. I mean, we saw yesterday against Felix. He had his trouble serving it out. Both sets, I think, that when he had trouble serving it out. Zverev, once again, pretty decent break recovery. He's well worth a look. The breakdown in either set, really. Khachanov pretty poor. Set three, mind you, he did recover a break yesterday. Felix did lead. You just need to update the data on that. We haven't obviously got last night's matches in. I think Khachanov won a scrappy match yesterday against Felix. Very windy. They sprayed error after error after error. I'm expecting an improvement. Basically, if the conditions improve, if it's not so windy today, then Khachanov will improve by default from yesterday's performance. Zverev had a rotten season. I don't think his head's been in the right place, to be honest with you. He won ugly against Basel yesterday. I mean, I think he served 16, 18, 19 double faults, and he still won. That could give him some momentum. It will do his confidence the world of good, no doubt. And if he can cut the double faults out, I think he's the value in this match, round about even money. But I think it could be a roller coaster. Overs could be worth a look. Over 22.5, 1.9 to even money, possibly. That could be a good bet. Okay. Let's move on. Montreal, Nadal, and Fognini. As expected, Rafa heavy favourite. Now, Fog always brings his game against Nadal. This is why the Fognini's on tour. This is why he's still here for matches like this. He absolutely loves playing Nadal. Can he beat him today? Well, I was impressed with Nadal yesterday. He looked focused. He looked sharp. He dismissed Pella with the minimum of fuss. If Fognini was 100% fit, he could play him hard. I'm not too sure of that, though. He's been grumbling the last couple of weeks. He aches here. He's got pains there. He's just doing what he has to do, etc., etc. Now, I don't know whether that's gamesmanship or anything, but from what I've seen this week, I think Rafa does this in two. But Fog's definitely worth a look. Plus 4.5 games. We can get that 1.8 to even money. That's a very, very, very good bet, in my opinion. Let's dive into the scripts. Nadal and Fog. Here we are. And as we can see, the computer's thrown a couple of potential entry spots for us because Fognini has a weak expected hold. We can see that the application is advising us that we could possibly take Fognini on in these spots. As we delve in to see what happens historically between these players, Rafa first to lead looks pretty solid. Look, Fognini seems to start slowly, being broken first nearly 60% of the time in set one. Both guys pretty good, serving 4 and serving 2. Set 2. Oh, look at that from Rafa. He goes into a set and break lead 94% of the time if he wins set 1. That's amazing. The man's a beast. Can't see a lot else there. It's basically, we've got to wait and see which Fognini turns up to play, but I wouldn't, like I said earlier, I wouldn't put anyone off backing in plus 4.5 games. Okay, should we move over to the women? We'll have a look at some of the women's matches now from Toronto. And first match up, Pliskova and Halep. Well, I'm expecting Simona to do the business there with the minimum amount of fuss. She's a class above Pliskova. And our outright selection for this tournament should progress to the semi-finals. Kenin and Svitolina. Now, that could be a very, very, very nice match. Svitz looks solid this week. So's Kenin. The issue I have with Svitolina is she's had MTOs for her back issue 2 matches ago, and yesterday she went over on her ankle and it looked quite nasty. Had a lengthy MTO having it strapped up, but she still dispatched a very poor Bencic. Again, she just did what was necessary, really, and beat what was in front of her with a minimum of fuss. Accepted what was handed to her again, really. If Svitolina was 100% fit, overs would be absolutely superb in this match. Over 22.5 even. We could go that high. 21.5 would be nailed on, but I'm not too sure about Svitolina's fitness. Kenin, like I said, has been in great form. She's handed Barty and Yastremska some quite comprehensive beatdowns, really. Let's dive into the scripts and let's have a look at what we can find. First broken there. Svit likes to give a lead up. Kenin recovers a break. Well, both girls do. They could trade breaks set 1, so we can look at that. It depends how the match pans out. Svit not very good at serving to stay in the set. That surprised me. 93% for Kenin. She wobbled a couple of times this week. I've actually traded the matches, and she's looked very, very, very tight and nervy when it comes to the crunch. But we could get a topsy-turvy first set. Set 2. Let's have a look. Nothing really outstanding there. And set 3. Svit's pretty tight at giving the lead up there, but she's good at recovery. Kenin is good at recovery as well. Could get a topsy-turvy set 3. We just have to wait and see how this match pans out. But I wouldn't put anyone off back in the overs once we've seen Svitolina's fitness. If she's there to play and you think she can grind it out over 3 sets, by all means, jump on the overs. Okay, let's roll on to the next match. Move back to the women. Pliskova and Andreescu. Bliss pretty static in the market. Andreescu pretty static as well. Now, Bianca's looked down and out in both of the matches I've seen her this week, and she fought back well. Physically, she's looked finished, but again, is she rope-a-doping or not? I know she's just come back from injury, but the girl has guts. She's a fighter. I think she'll push Pliss hard this evening. Let's dive into the scripts. See what spots pop up. Set 1. I wouldn't put anyone off laying Pliskova from the start. With Andreescu likes to come out the blocks rapidly by the looks of things. 68% of the time, she's the first to lead in set 1. But as always, don't rely on her to sit on the lead. This is WTA, and Pliss confirms that. Look at that. Recovering the break 65% of the time. Topsy-turvy first set once more. I mean, we know Andreescu is a very, very good returner. Once she gets a read on the Pliss serve, I think they could trade breaks a few times. That's something to look at. Pliss again serving to stay in the set. Could wobble. As we move on to the later sets. Look at that. Bianca at set and break. She gives it up 50% of the time. Pliskova recovers 72% of the time. Golden spot there. Andreescu set and break. Remember that one, guys. Set 3. Again, Andreescu giving up the lead and Pliskova recovering it very well. Andreescu's good on recovery as well. So we could get a couple of breaks in set 1 once Andreescu gets a read on the serve. Andreescu could be the first to lead as well. Looking at that, because she comes out the blocks quite rapidly. Set and break, we can oppose her. And set 3, we can oppose her breakup as well. Okay. Move back to the pre-match page. And we'll have a look at the final match here. Osaka and Williams. Coin flip. It's a first meeting since their infamous US Open final last year, where Serena proudly declared to everyone that she was a mom. Market can't split them. My model can't split them. Let's see if the scripts can. Okay. Serena to be broken first, possibly. We could look for Naomi to get off to a quick start. Both girls half decent on recovery. Serena likes to break late in sets. That's how she breaks your will, I think. She's done that for years and years. So look out for that one. Naomi's pretty tough, though, mentally. You have to wait and see how the match unfolds. As always, use these numbers alongside what's unfolding before your eyes. Game state and stats. It's a decent combination. Set 2. Giving up set and break. Stingy. Osaka's very good at recovery. Serena could wobble when serving for the match. Plenty to think about here. Plenty to think about. Okay. That concludes this short video going through today's matches. We found a couple of spots for you potentially, and I hope I've given you a better idea of what you can use the stats for and how we can dig into them to sort of look for potential spots to unfold as we're watching the action in front of us. I'll catch you all later for the matches. Have a good afternoon, y'all.